program. The views expressed on this program are not necessarily those of Entercom Communications, its sponsors, or affiliates.
Alrighty, good morning. Welcome to our 21st year of the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm Harvey Freed. We've got our entire panel coming up with you on the Zoom broadcast. We'll start off with Mr. Harry Glantz.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Harvey. Happy New Year, everybody. Can't wait to get going here. First week of 2021.
I think we got John Kolb on the line, too, from our office. Hey, good morning, John.
What's up, gentlemen? How are you today?
Yeah, John's calling us from the middle of the state of Michigan up at his place up north. I don't want to announce that to everyone, but I just did. Hey, John, what's up there?
Hey, it's beautiful. The sun's out. It's a blue sky. You don't see that down in the Detroit area. So
it's
nice
pretty,
to get
it's
up
pretty
here
in Detroit. And
All
our
right.
good friend, Keller Williams' own Lakeside, Mark Blair. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing well. Good morning, and thank you for having me this morning.
Of course, Mark's with the great team over there, the misoldteam.com. That's where you're going to find them over at the Lakeside office, Keller Williams. Mark, we have a lot of your different agents on throughout the year. You're one of the top guys over there. I love your group. I love some of the things we were just talking about last night in the topic. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, we're going to start things off. Of course, if you want to join the show, 248-539-9797, our first show back from 2021. Harry, I know you got a lot to say really to get our show started here. A happy, healthy new year, of course, to all the listeners and clients.
Yeah, I'm just so excited for 2021, Harvey. 2020, you know where that is, but we're rolling into a new year. First business week is ending right now in 2021, and the market couldn't be more receptive. Mark's going to tell us about all the purchases he's got going. Of course, we're going to talk about interest rates. They're going up, everybody. The announcement is rates are going up. It is not a blip. There's no blip. They're going up, but that doesn't mean anything because they're so low. It doesn't matter, everybody. It just doesn't matter. Things are hot. Things are looking up. Things are really, really good in the mortgage and real estate market.
Mark, Blair, is still cheaper, a lot less expensive to own a house in Michigan. We're just fortunate here. Of course, some of the states, some of the regions of the United States are very expensive. But Michigan, generally speaking here, where the majority, of course, our listening audience is, it's relatively inexpensive to become a homeowner here.
You know, I'm going to have to agree with that. Migration is eyeing Michigan down heavily, not only for just moving, but also for investors. I've had a lot of out-of-state investors for the last 5 years get excited. You know, they jump on a plane as soon as there's a property on the market. And migration and the realization of the living cost and I don't know, if you like the Four Seasons, maybe you do. So come on down. And then you've got cheap flights going to Florida. That's where we all want to be in the wintertime anyways. So.
There you go. Definitely. Can you get through a gorgeous day like today? I mean, today's been in the mid 30s with the sun shining, so it's not too bad as well. Of course, when it's cloudy, as John Kolb was mentioning, cloudy and cold, it gets to be a little bit of long winter. But John Kolb, you're up north, and it seems as if everyone who's been, and we're going to talk, Mark's going to talk a lot about what's been going on with the pandemic, how people have been looking at their homes and saying, wait a minute, I need to make this a gorgeous space to live in. But John, people are outside. They're doing more things outside. And the winter sports, including up north, is really starting to pick up.
Yeah, it's much different, outside of the Detroit area with the amount of people that are outside. I mean, you get people that are dressed a little bit more appropriately for the outside, heavier gear, and they get out, they do some ice fishing, they do some snowshoeing, some skiing, and it's great to see. It's just great to see people getting back to their normal day-to-day activities. I mean, I think being cooped up in a house with everybody all around you is causing people to be a little bit crazy. So, with us up here right now, I got people out on the lake right now, ice fishing, not my thing, but hey, get to it and enjoy it and be healthy and safe.
Mark, we talk about that as John talks about. People really just took a look at themselves when the pandemic hit. Of course, they're able to work remotely at home. The kids are at home with school. It changed the way we looked at our house pretty quickly. I mean, of course, the housing in 2020, it was already starting off with a lot of buyers out there wanting to take advantage of these low interest rates, Mark. But now they've also got this other component where the actual living space has become even more important.
It's become really challenging because now you're looking at your house at like a one-stop unit building. We need a classroom that's more functional. We need a home office that's more fun and a little bit more quiet, right? We don't want it. We don't want that shared space anymore with our kids when we used to do things like that. But we've got people asking for a lot of different things. They've had some time to think about it. I think when the interest rates got low, people were ready to just, buy and move and not really focus on the key components. Because, the normal triggers of buying a home are, marriage, divorce, and a couple of things like that. But then now you're throwing in the pandemic. Now that's a big trigger. But now you've got people thinking, okay, well, now I don't have to go to the office every single week, 5 times a week. I don't have to commute anymore. I don't mind living an hour away and having more land, having a pole barn, having a man cave, having a cheese shed. Don't make me say that too many times.
Okay.
And and then you've got people now looking for contractors to finish basements and turn them into home theaters, because what's the enjoyment of going to the movie theater without eating food? That's why we go there. I want some popcorn. I want some candy. So we got buyers with just really changing their mindsets, and I've seen a huge conversion of that. I want to tell you about a buyer that I worked with recently that closed in December. He's a 26-year-old roofing project manager. Super excited for him to make this big purchase, and he was renting. And once we found a property in Sterling Heights that had a separate building at the back with a place to work on a car and a recording studio. He's big on music. He wants to record songs. The buyer and the seller were able to relate on that, and the home that he bought is it's incredible. Something that he would normally not do if it was just a traditional market.
Yeah, changing their lifestyles. Harry, there's no doubt the younger generation, they're definitely taking a look at buying. I mean, they're watching their parents, as Mark mentioned, families are getting together, young couples are getting engaged, and they're taking a look at home ownership. It's way more affordable than renting, and they want to lay some roots down and let them grow and see where it takes them and raise families. That's what growing communities is all about.
Well, it's very attractive right now with the rate environment the way it is. They don't know anything except for low rates, so they're taking advantage of that. As Mark mentioned, as we talk about John and Harvey every single day in our office, the market is conducive to people working at home. People are getting used to working remotely. And as we said, you used to tell people, listen, work where you're going to work, but you can always drive in metropolitan Detroit and other areas to where you work. Well, now you work out of your house. So you might as well live in the best living arrangement that you could possibly live for your own set of circumstances. So right now, people are taking advantage of that. And truthfully, I think people are happier and healthier. I mean, they get to do their own thing, and it's to their own, they're really their own specifications. So I think right now you're going to see a continued boom in the housing market.
A lot of families out there, Mark, had some homes that, they had bought years ago, or maybe they inherited 5 or 10 acres in the northern part of the counties, the more popular counties, in the rural areas more. They were just sitting there. A lot of the families now are, hey, now there's an opportunity. Those homes have gone up dramatically in value, not to mention, Mark, about 15% appreciation, not everywhere in the United States, but truly in our area, we're looking somewhere between 7 and 15% appreciation just almost in the last 8 months.
And that's right. It's a phenomenal time if you're looking to sell something that you're not really using. But if you are going to use it, make the best of it. Because like I said, a lot of buyers are now looking up north, and they definitely want more property. A lot of folks were already looking at lake property prior to that, because there are some people that also carry on the business of Airbnb and other things like that. But moving up north is becoming really, really hot right now. And I think that if there are real estate agents that are thinking of starting their career and enjoying a more peaceful setting, you can do that. You can actually make the move up north, and you can be busy. And it's kind of unheard of. It's kind of, unexpected. And it was something that's dramatically different from last year.
Yeah, to open up some new progress. John Kolb, I think one of the things with some of the buyers out there is I think they're shocked to find out as we meet more and more younger people getting in the marketplace, even folks that it's just whatever their age is, they're just getting into home ownership. John, I think sometimes they're sort of shocked to know that they can get into a house with a 3% down conventional purchase, or maybe a 0 down USDA loan. More and more education is out there for these buyers. And I think it's opening the eyes to a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, a lot of these programs that have, the 3% down program, they have many caveats to them. So you got to, be a first-time home buyer, and there's some of the programs have income limitations to them too. So, and also price point limitations. So you have to be careful on what you do and make sure you're getting with somebody like us, Harvey, myself, Harry, Becky, Lisa, anybody at Capital that knows the caveats, and make sure you're getting the info the correct way so that we can put you into the right program. If you can't do 3%, you can always do 5%.
Right. A lot of these homes are in move-in condition anyways. Hey, listen, guys, we're up against a quick break here. To get the show started, 248-539-9797. When we come back, we'll talk about you buying a house and things you can do to really put some tools in your pocket and make that happen. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back.
Hi, Harry Glantz and Dan Burke from Capital Mortgage Funding. Over 30 years in the mortgage banking industry, hundreds of thousands of families served. Let us serve you. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
The show 9:15. If you're just joining us, take all your calls here on the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Again, we're brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding, powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 2289, equal housing lender. You give us a call. We'll sit down with you and go over all the details of home ownership, making it really fun. And of course, it's great to have Mark Blair on from msoldteam.com, the Keller Williams Lakeside group out there. And again, having great quality people
Becky
on
calling
really
me,
makes it
Michelle.
easy to do the show. But more importantly, if you're out there looking to purchase a home, there is a difference. And Mark, we were talking about it last night that you guys are going to really offer 6 scholarships up because you want to grow your team, but you guys have mentorship and you really work with some of the new agents to make sure that the buyers and the sellers get the best buying and selling experience.
And yes, and that's one of the things that we've been throwing back and forth. We wanted to do even more than that, but we got to start somewhere, of course. I was lucky enough to get mentorship, and the mentorship that I received when I started real estate was more fail forward. I wasn't handed the business in my lap. I had to work for it, but I was shown how to do it versus told how to do it. And I think that's what made a dramatic difference. So what I want to do is take the same gift that I received and just pass it on, because that's what's going to help our industry, retain a high standard of operation. And we're making a huge impact in people's lives when we're listening in and helping them get this largest asset of their home. So it's not something that we want to play around with, and we don't want people taking it lightly. And I think that we're getting into a time where people are so educated, they're so self-sufficient in getting information. We want to make sure that we have more resources with us and we have mastered our craft before, we pass that on to someone else.
Especially in today's competitive marketplace. Becky Alley joins us. Becky, good morning, Becky. Thanks for coming in.
Morning.
Hey, and we got Lisa Lawson on the line also, which is really good. Lisa, thanks for staying on there. And Becky, just let me reach out to you real quick. And of course, a happy new. Oh, we did lose Becky. Oh, we'll go to Lisa. Lisa, for 2021, of course, a happy new year to you. A lot of people, they're running into the same problem. As Mark knows, there's only a 2-month supply of homes out there in the marketplace. So any of the great homes that come on the marketplace, you not only have to have what Mark was saying, really qualified people that have been mentored, have a plan together, but really not only a strong approval, but great communication too, Lisa. It's so hard to get your offer accepted. You better have some tools in your team. Lisa? Did I lose you too?
I just got disconnected myself. So like maybe she got disconnected.
Hey, I was saying, how competitive is out there, Becky, if you want to jump in on that one. And definitely here in 2021, you better have a solid real estate team.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I literally just had the conversation last night at 9:00. A young couple, they're working with one of our preferred agents that's a regular on our show here. And they looked at a house last night and they called me up and they said, hey, they had a pre-approval, but he said, you know what? If we're trying to be a little bit more competitive, you need to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row. So I spoke with them last night, issued the pre-approval, and made sure that they knew what was going on. And that's the key. That's what's going to get their offer accepted. I mean, so they submitted it last night, fingers crossed for them. But, you have to be with people that are readily available. Real estate doesn't sleep. You don't work 9 to 5 jobs. I mean, so you need to make sure that someone, if you're trying to go to, and nothing, I'm not knocking credit unions or banks by any means, but they are 9 to 5, and it's going to be hard for you to get a hold of someone if it's after hours in some of those situations. So, who you surround yourself with is key, whether it's professionally or personally. Obviously you want to always, I want to surround myself with people that are doing better than me. So that way I can, kind of be constantly like moving up in life. And same with your real estate, team. You want to make sure that you have people that are aspiring to be the best. So that way, when your offer comes at the table, it's going to stand out because that energy is on that piece of paper.
Hey, Mark, Blair, we should never be concerned about what the qualifications of the buyer. Now, definitely we want to be concerned about that, but whether they're getting an FHA mortgage or a conventional mortgage, it's just the fact that, of course, real estate agents are qualified in the real estate term. The mortgage people know all these little nuances on all these different programs, but these are the programs we need to share with the real estate community to make you guys stronger, to understand that a federal housing administration, an FHA loan is just the same as any loan out there, or a USDA loan, that these loans, if handled properly, can close in a timely manner. And again, Mark, we always rush to get these closed. Where are the sellers going to move nowadays?
I know, right? But back to that point that you just made, one of the interesting things that's been happening is I've even got FHA offers accepted in a multiple offer situation. And the reason why we've done that is, I'll give you one example, not to get into too much detail, but we had a client who had purchased a home years ago that had structural problems that they weren't aware of. They were just totally new, totally green to the process. They didn't do a proper home inspection. Okay. They took a friend and turned into a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare for these folks. What ended up happening was instead of getting bitter from the situation, they moved into an apartment, they let it go, they rebuilt their credit, They started all over again. Now this is now 7 or 8, 10 years down the line. And they said, we're super serious. We've been saving money like crazy. They went FHA because of that past situation, which wasn't really their fault, but because we were able to relay that information and that story to the listing agent, they were happy to accept the offer. And that was wonderful because these folks were just getting, they were just getting heartbroken over the offers that weren't getting accepted. So once we made the decision, I sat down with them. I said, "Are you comfortable with telling the story? Are we okay with sharing this information?" In the beginning, they were kind of reluctant. They said, "I don't know if we need to do that or we want to do that. It's our personal story." And I said, maybe somebody's going to care to hear it and it's going to make the difference. And it did.
Oh, I like that. Harry, you want to say something on that?
No, I think John wanted to say something, but I believe in personal stories and I believe in letting sellers know that you really want to buy their house, John.
Yeah, I think there's a misnomer out there with FHA appraisals that they're so much more stringent than a conventional appraisal, and that is just not the case. FHA appraisals and conventional appraisals are so close to the specifications of how they have to be completed nowadays that it doesn't really make much of a difference. If you're a listing agent and or a seller and you're saying, "Hey, I'm not going to accept the offer because of the FHA appraisal inspection that has to be done," then you don't know what you're talking about. Unfortunately, you gotta learn. And the unfortunate thing is that there's that stigma against FHA that should not be there. Now, what FHA does have is it allows people with slightly lower credit scores to get in for a lower down payment. That is it. That's the difference, right? So if you're going to go back and forth and say, "Hey, I don't know about this buyer," well, that person who's putting 40% down versus 20% down, that the issue probably is that their credit score is kind of not jacked up too. So you got to take a look at what the buyer's qualifications are personally, and let us handle what's going on with the appraisals and how we structure the transaction, because we are here to make transactions work, not deny them. I mean, I don't know why anyone would say, "Hey, why aren't you taking this person this way, this way?" If I can take a client the best way for them, I will. But if we have to go and do a sidestep and do a little bit different transaction to get it done, we've been doing this for 20 plus years. So let us do our job. And sorry, Harry, 30. Well, 30 is 20 plus. So just let us do our job and get it done.
Lisa Lawson, just to wrap up the FHA conversation, of course, the loan amount's up to $356,362. So it's not a loan for someone who doesn't have income. Obviously, it's going to allow a lot of families to get in, as John mentioned, 3.5% down. Lisa, the MSHA program, I want to touch on that real quick. And then I want to talk about our unbelievable jumbo interest rates, because anyone out there, we want to handle all of our buyers out there. We at Capital Mortgage Funding have some of the best, lowest interest rates and can get your purchase done on a jumbo. That's anything over $548,250. Lisa, wrap up our FHA little segment if you could.
Yeah, sure. You touched on MSHA. MSHA is a great program. People have a misnomer that it has to be a first-time home buyer. MSHA also is a program for repeat home buyers. If for some reason, life happens, you've not been able to save as much money as you thought you could, possibly because you were, reduced hours because of COVID, or there's a lot of different reasons why people don't have the down payment that they really need. MSHA can help those people get into a home. They'll give up to $7,500 towards down payment, closing cost, prepaids, and anything else. So if you're a little short, it's definitely a program that you should be looking into. It does require a slightly higher credit score than regular FHA. You have to be at least a 640 for the My First program. But if that's the way you have to get into a house, it's definitely something to look into. I don't want people to think that, they need tens and tens of thousands of dollars to get in, because that's just really not the case.
Yeah, it's really fun to own a house. Mark Blair, of course, Keller Williams, the msoldteam.com is where you can find Mark and his team. Mark, nothing is more gratifying than when we get a call from a client and they are prepared, where they're able to send over their documents to us quickly. We can run a file literally within 10 to 20 minutes and find out if they're approved eligible. We can look at their assets and look at their pay stubs, have great conversations, and they're as good as cash buyers. It's a good feeling for us, and I know it's a better feeling for the real estate agents. Know that they have a buyer that's ready to go and makes your offers really strong.
It does. It really helps our offers, because when we have the communication with the agent on the other side. Very good.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? 248-539-9797. the morning's going to fly by. It's always the first show back on 2021. Jim, you're doing a great job back there for us. Give us a call here. Join the show, 248-539-9797. When we come back, more information.
Hi, Harry Glanz and Danberg from Capital Mortgage Funding. Over 30 years in the mortgage banking industry, hundreds of thousands of families served. Let us serve you. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
(9:30) on a gorgeous January 9th, 2021. I don't even know what happened in 2020. It's all gone. Forget about it. Forget about it. 248-539-9797. We'll take your calls here, talking mortgages and, of course, always real estate buyers and sellers. 248-539-9797. Great stuff. Mark Blair's on, and Mark's my new buddy. Mark and I became Facebook friends, I'm going to say 6 months ago. Yeah. And there's some great things about Facebook. And then we sort of reached out to each other, and And sure enough, boy, I just love talking to them. And when you get great real estate people in the room, that's what I'm talking about, folks. It's all about the knowledge that you can share with your buyers, your sellers, and make it a really great experience. Of course, on the mortgage end, we got a lot of things happening here. As Harry mentioned, to start off 2021, rates aren't going to stay down forever. New administration's coming in really soon. The markets are starting to look different ways. You got Bitcoin going crazy. So the world's a different place to live in. A lot of you might have spent too much money on credit cards over the holiday season. So we offer debt consolidation. Becky Alley, everyone's got all this equity. When you look at these debt consolidation loans, boy, people just feel so good when they see how much money they can save.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of, there used to be like where home equity line of credit, that was hip, if you wanted to pull money out of your home, so right now where the rates are at, it makes sense to just put it all on one loan. Why not? It's basically like free money right now. So the rates have never been this low. And obviously, like you touched on, we're going to start seeing some market movement. Now, what that market move is going to be and how extreme, it's yet to be seen. We've made some projections that we think it's going to stay pretty relative to where we're at. I mean, it is going to move a little bit, but not dramatic in hopes, right? But I don't want to jinx anything. But in regards to that equity in your home, right now, the real estate market and housing value, they have increased. So if you're looking to finish the basement, if you're looking to make that offer or make that office in your home, use your home to do so. Why not take your biggest asset and make it work for you at the lowest rate you can humanly possibly get in the history of America? I mean, why not? And, it's come to that point where we talk about all the time, should I stay or should I go? And 2020 has done nothing but magnify what your current living situation is and if it's working or it's not. And, in some cases, people try to put their houses on the market and they didn't get what they thought they were going to get, or someone gave them ideas and they took it off and now they're renovating. I have two people they tried to sell it, they changed their mind, they decided they wanted to stay. And there's nothing wrong with that. You got to make your home exactly how you want, and the rates are allowing you to do so. So I love the fact that people are able to take advantage of it. And I love being able to share even my ideas, for what they could do when they start talking to me. So I love it.
Lisa Lawson, when we do the math with clients and they drop down, let's say they got 2 years in on a 30-year mortgage, they drop down into a 20 or a 15-year, they knock all these years off, they consolidate their debt. Not only those credit cards, they bring those balances down to zero, so their credit scores go up. And credit, Lisa, you being a credit expert, definitely that's very important, not only when you're buying a house, but you're getting car insurance and other facets of your life, things that you can do to really work on your credit.
Yeah, absolutely. So debt consolidation can not only obviously improve your everyday cash flow, it can have an overall lower rate because the rates are really great right now. Like you said, people don't realize they pull when you get a homeowner's insurance quote, when you get a car insurance quote, all of those things have a basis that is on your credit score. So if you want to get the lowest premiums that you can and still great coverage, it's important to have a really good credit score overall. So it's going to benefit you in more ways than one. Absolutely.
Mark, Blair, if they said that homes might have slowed down a little bit from Thanksgiving to maybe the New Year's, if they said it just dropped a little bit, the stats said the numbers were off a little bit. I don't think that's anything to look at negatively, maybe just a breather, but no doubt 2021 is going to start off. I think it's going to be, starting on Monday. It felt that way last year when we started the new year. So to be competitive out there, Mark, I'm getting some buyers that are telling me, Harvey, we got beat out again on the offer. Again, why are some clients they just can't seem to get the offer accepted? Is there any helpful tips out there?
Yeah, I think there's a couple helpful tips that I'd like to share with you. The first one, make sure your agent is communicating the fact that they're underwritten, their docs are with the lender, they're already at a certain process. It's very, very helpful. I know it sounds so simplistic and it sounds so, it doesn't sound like it's a big deal to share that information, but it is. It actually makes a huge impact if they know that the client's already taken a bunch of steps to get closer to getting this deal closed faster. Secondly, I think throughout the show, we've mentioned a couple of times that telling a story doesn't hurt. And also just the meaningful part of it, not, you don't need to write a book. We really just want to share the meaningful part of why you want this home, why you're interested in this area, what impact it's having. I remember a client that I dealt with just 2 weeks ago, and it was two boys living in a shared bedroom in an apartment, and they were both delighted when they saw that that their next home is going to have two separate bedrooms and they're going to have their own space. So that was a big deal for these 11-year-old 10-year-old boys. And so when the homeowner found that out, they were just even more motivated to talk to the buyers. So
that one sort of hit me personally, but I'll have to leave that for another story. Hey, we have open lines here all morning. Love to hear from you. 248-539-9797. If you don't catch us here, you can catch us at Capital Mortgage Funding all week long, all weekend long at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. As Harry said, deal with experienced people, build that knowledge base, and we'll set you up with the best real estate agents out there. We have so many great agents in here in Southeast Michigan, but there's a lot of new people. And Mark, you had mentioned yesterday on the phone too, that you guys are offering to really expand your team. I'll go ahead and let you give us that offer out there for anyone who's listening.
This is it's an early announcement, and I'm so happy we talked about it last night. But we have we've made the decision to bring on 6 scholarships for people who want to get out of their current situation, whatever that may be. We don't need an explanation. Just contact us. Our website, which is misoldteam.com, will have the information up next week, where you just submit a simple paragraph on why you want to do it, what's your motivation, and you'll be put in the queue for that sponsorship. And just on another side note, we might be expanding that program into different arms. So if you're interested in lending, we're going to talk to you folks about that. And we're going to open up some new avenues for people that are local, and we care about you and we care about our community. And we've been through a lot together, and we're going to get through this together.
It's great stuff. Again, we have open lines here all morning with our full staff on. And of course, Mark Blair joining us from the Keller Williams Lakeside team. Strong office. We always have you guys on because there's so many qualified people out at your office. According to the National Association of Realtors, of course, that 2-month supply is still just holding back a lot of families and getting their offers accepted. Mark, you talked about the communication, that when you make an offer, you really need that agent to reach out and tell your story, and whether that process is just starting or that you're in a position to close in 30 days. It's so key to give the listing side and the seller side that basically that confidence that they're now able to move on and either pull their contingency off on their house or whatever that might be going. But isn't that a true thing? As we're seeing all these 30 days of occupancy after closing, where are the sellers going? Isn't that going to be part of 2021? Again, if you're selling, where are you going? You got to have a place to live.
You do. And luckily we stay in touch when we network with each other. I can kind of give you a preview. I know there's a bunch of listings that are coming that are really suitable. And the best part of these listings that are coming to the market, they're going to be more finished and prepared and move-in ready. The tips that we've been giving our sellers particularly is we've been walking these properties on several occasions to make sure that there's not really anything that's going to be an issue for the next person. And then we're also educating our clients and explaining the fact that we're going to allow them to have the opportunity to get some occupancy while they search for their next property as well.
All righty. John Kolb, self-employed borrowers. Anyone out there, if your credit's great and you've filed your tax returns, all right, whether you're a W-2 employee, you're self-employed, you get some commission per job. John, it's really important that you get with your lender right away. Can you sort of give us a little bit of information out there? Self-employed borrowers have just maybe a little bit more paperwork to show nowadays.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, self-employed borrowers, if you want to use the income from 2020, you need to file your tax returns, and they need to be received by the IRS. And, we have to prove that you've made your tax payment if you owed, because we need to make sure that the income that you're using has been reported to the IRS so that we can accurately document it. So self-employed borrowers have a much harder job than a W-2 employee. W-2 employee, we don't have W-2s out yet, but we can take that year-end pay stub and use the income off of that instead. So, and we don't have to wait for tax returns to be done to be able to use the income. So if you are self-employed, the best thing to do, get with your lender, make sure that they know what you're looking to do, especially if you're out there looking for a new home. Because if you decide to write off a bunch of income because of something COVID related, whatever, the IRS does not care. You will have to make sure that you're using the same type of income that you have used in years past so that we can qualify you accurately.
248-539-9797. You're listening to the Hardcore Mortgage Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We're in our 21st year bringing the show here on 97.1 The Ticket. Appreciate all the listening audience out there. And again, if you'd like to join the show, 248-539-9797. Always trying to prepare you for the best home ownership experience if you're buying or selling a house. And more importantly, you might even consider doing a refinance and take advantage of these unbelievably low interest rates. You'll call us at 1-800-LOW-RATE. That's where you'll find us all. Hey, we're up against a quick break here. When we come back, more helpful tips on buying and selling your house. Keep it here.
Hi, Harry Glanson Danberg from Capital Mortgage Funding. Over 30 years in the mortgage banking industry, hundreds of thousands of families served. Let us serve you. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker.
$9:45. What a gorgeous Saturday here. January 9th, 2021. It's a Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, again, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. You can reach us at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker, right here in your own backyard. Of course, we are powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. We are strong. When you want to save money, call Capital Mortgage Funding, especially if you have a jumbo loan out there and you want to find out how to save money. We've got unbelievable pricing on all our fixed rate products, and you just want to keep it here locally. Hey, Mark Blair joins us, of course, from Keller Williams. The misoldteam.com is where you can find Mark Blair. And we were talking about a couple different topics. Appraisals are always a huge topic. Of course, in 2020, we saw the home values going through the roof, which is good for people now that are buying, because all those comparable sales, Mark, all those overbidding, those homes sold for 10, 20,000 over market. So now if you live in those neighborhoods and we send an appraiser out because you need to do that debt consolidation, you're going to have a lot of equity.
That's right. Yeah. And, I wanted to kind of bring back a previous point we were talking about when we touched on FHA mortgages. I recently had a couple of FHA mortgages come through at full appraisal value. But prior to that, I had a lot of kickback. Why do you think, this is not possible? But it was phenomenal to see. And I think that people shouldn't be discouraged if they're writing an FHA offer. It's not something to be worried about or concerned about. Other than that, appraisal issues, I think that it's a good idea to be prepared for it and do the homework prior to writing that offer so you can anticipate what's going to happen. Like anything, just be prepared for it. I think the pandemic's taught us that. Let's be prepared in advance if we anticipate that something could happen. And so do a really thorough CMA, keep it current, and watch those homes that are pending that close just prior to the time before you go for a refi or decide to sell your home. Mark,
I'm guessing you're meeting the appraisers at the house on your listings. You're advising the sellers of the home, obviously, to keep all the doors open, all the lights open. Still we're practicing social distancing, practicing safe real estate here. And the key is that people can get in the house and do their job. And again, if you need to supply some additional comparable sales or information about what school district you're in, there is a reason why that qualified listing agent shares information with the appraiser to get the best results.
Absolutely. So we want to take time and effort to do that. It makes it a tremendous difference versus just calling somebody on the phone. Like you said, always keep it safe, keep the doors open, and the presentation is everything. So it is important to make sure that home is nice and clean and ready, sanitized, do all the right things, be careful. And then that's very important.
All right. Hey, guys, we're going to go to a call, or we got Mark calling in from Davidson. We'll go back to John Call right after. Hey, Mark calling in from Davidson. Good morning and welcome to our show. What's your question? Lisa Lawson, I'll let you take that.
Well, the only way you'd be able to use that appraisal is if your current loan is an FHA loan that you're utilizing to refinance, because they're transferable. Otherwise, you'd most likely have to get a new appraisal if one is required. Sometimes we get property inspection waivers, not all the time, but we'd have to run it through our underwriting engines to see. But yes, there should be no reason it takes 2.5 months. You can absolutely come in. I've been going into the office almost every day. Harvey's there with me almost every day. We all go in. You can absolutely bring your documents in. We're there for you. Not everybody is tech savvy. Uploads fail. Sometimes the other side doesn't get the notification. So if it's not working out for you, absolutely reach out to us. We'll be happy to help.
Yeah, Mark, we'll help you. Harry, did you want to comment on that, Harry?
No, I wanted to comment on the appraisal issue, but I would tell you this: let Lisa meet with him, and we'll figure out the reason why it's taken 2.5 months. There's got to be some nuances on there, and lucky to have the opportunity to check out the documents for him.
Very good.
Yeah. Do a phone call first with Lisa. Tell her where your hangups are with your current mortgage company. Share with her who you're using with your current mortgage company. That gives us insight on what the hangups may be. We've been around the block. We know what companies can and cannot do, but some individuals have hangups. And I think, Mark, you need to make sure that you're talking to Lisa and letting her know everything so she can direct you the right way.
We're going to call you guys. Yeah, we'll give you a call right after the show today. Thanks, Mark, for the call from Davidson. Really appreciate that. And again, I think it's a little heads up there. I've had these calls. So if you currently have a mortgage out there, you probably need to go back to your originator. And again, call us here at Capital Mortgage Funding. Go to a real strong origination place. A lot of the times you're just making the payment. That's a servicer. Although they want to retain your loan, they don't have the best of loan officers in their bullpen, let's say. And what happens is you're 2.5, 3 months later on a simple conventional cash out or rate and term refinance. And again, don't think every mortgage company or everyone you're talking to is the same. Keep the business locally. This is a little announcement to anyone out there. Your current servicer is a servicer to loan, and they might be pretty good at that. They're good at distributing your summer and winter taxes and your homeowner's insurance bills, but they're not good at originating a new low interest rate for you. And I'm getting several calls about this throughout the weeks, throughout the months, all and through 2020. So again, we'll reach out to anyone out there who's trying to refinance and get it done the right way. Just deal with the local lenders. 248-539-9790. Someone got time for a couple last calls. But Mark, Blair, we were still talking about appraisals and having that great experience. Just because we're coming up on the end of the show, maybe a couple helpful tips for sellers and for buyers.
Yeah, when it comes to appraisals, especially for sellers, please, double down on your numbers when you're looking at renovations. So we're considering spending a lot of time, mess, noise, agony, and all of that. Make sure that you're weighing out the opportunity of if all of that does make sense before you go and prepare that home and expect something that's not realistic. So that's one thing I would say. Buyers are looking for a finished product. They are looking for homes to be ready to move in. They're looking for less time, less hassle. I think we've all had our fair share of that. We want to just really settle down and start enjoying life and getting it back to normal as soon as possible. So I would tell buyers that if you are kind of reaching over your means, be prepared to tap into your savings and use that extra cash if it's going to come down to it.
Yeah, Becky Alley, these homes that you want to get into move-in condition and stuff, and it's hard to get these contractors out there, whether you're putting a pool or you have a new project, a landscape project or an internal project, a finishing of the basement. These contractors are super busy. You've sort of come into that too. Wouldn't you say there a little bit, Beck?
Yeah, I mean, I actually just talked to a client of mine who I referred, my contractor who also has been Lisa's person, and 2020 did put him behind, because there was a little lag time, but he is definitely, someone that is Johnny on the spot and likes to keep his time frames, and he doesn't like to waste time or lag it out, but a lot of it is, the materials, or he can do, your contractor can come in and do all of the work, but then you're going to be stuck waiting on the vanity to come in, or whatever these little your finishes are going to be. That sometimes takes a little bit longer than even them getting in there, slapping up some drywall and painting. They can do all that stuff, but then you get hung up when you get to the details, so, you definitely, if you're thinking about it, get on someone's list right now, have them come out, give you a quote. I have a really good person I can recommend. His name's Eddie from L Customs. He's fantastic. He does great work. And, getting 3 quotes is best, but, getting someone that you can have actual references, that's key, so I was nervous about it the first time. I completely redid my whole entire home and I was scared to death. You hear about these horror stories of things taking months and years, and it was definitely a blessing for Eddie to come into my life, him and his wife.
Hey, Mark,
Yeah,
Blair,
Eddie's come into our life too, and he did our basement and he was phenomenal. And you want to work with someone that's reputable, because even if there's a little issue afterwards, because we put a gym in the basement with a shower and the whole 9 yards, there was a little tiny leak. He came back actually a week and a half ago and fixed it for us because we hadn't used it in a long time. So you need somebody that's reputable, that stands by their work, just like we do. We're available every day, 7 days, almost 7 days a week. Don't call me at 3 a.m., but send me an email, send me a text. We'll get back with you. You need somebody else that's going to stand by their work as well.
Mark,
Yes.
Blair, should people get out there and go now, because this inventory is not going to look any better in the springtime and you're going to be multiple bids? It could be even worse when you're making a bid in March and April.
Yeah, I think that the summer is going to be a busy summer. So if you're planning on doing something, get on it now. You'll actually probably be ahead of that line that's going to get really long. A lot of my friends and contacts that have been renting, we've been doing the analyzation. It is cheaper to own, even with all the given factors today. And even if you are looking at interest rates as a concern, if they go up or not, you are still saving tremendous amounts of money versus paying rent, not building anything for yourself. And I think we've all come to a realization that we need to have reserves, preserves, and have the home that we want.
Well, that's going to wrap up our show today. To start us things up, Mark Blair, of course, the great Keller Williams, the msoulteam.com. That's where you can find Mark Blair. And, of course, his team with Keller Williams Lakeside is always jamming. Always call Capital Mortgage Funding at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. I see Pat Caputo out there. He's going to bring his sports here on 97.1 The Ticket. Keep it here all day long. We will see you next Saturday.